Hello and welcome back to In the Kitchen with Matt. I am your host, Matt Taylor. Today, I'm going to show you how to make cinnamon roll twist bread or cinnamon roll braided bread. For those of you who follow my show, you know that I love cinnamon rolls. My cinnamon roll video that I made about 3 years ago is my most popular video here on my show. I thought this cinnamon roll twist bread would be perfect for the holiday season, and so that's what we're gonna do. It's really easy to do, simple ingredients. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm also gonna talk about this cool storage container that Palm Tree Chef sent me. They are the sponsor of today's episode, so thanks to them, and we'll get into that little storage container a little bit later as well. Really excited to talk to you about that. All right, let's get baking. First, we wanna get our yeast going. So what I have here is I have 1/2 cup of filtered water. Remember, whenever you're making some kind of a bread product, use filtered water if possible, unless your tap water tastes really good. And then I have 1/4 cup of milk. You can use whatever milk that you want. And down below in the description box, I will list all the ingredients. All right, and now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna heat this up in the microwave. You can also heat this up on the stovetop if you want. We want the liquid to be somewhere between 105 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. And once we have our liquid heated up, I'm gonna take about a teaspoon of my sugar from my 1/4 cup of sugar and add it in there. There's enough sugar in the milk, so I probably don't need to do that. It's just something I always do. And let's go ahead and add in our yeast. This is 2 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast. Put that in there. And then with like a fork or a little whisk, just agitate it just a little bit. The reason why we want to start the yeast first is because it's a good indicator if your yeast is good or bad. If after 10 minutes the yeast is not nice and foamy, then we need to start again, because that means the yeast is bad, or the liquid was way too hot, or the liquid was too cold. So that's why I always start the yeast first, and we'll let this sit for 10 minutes. Oh yeah, it's been about 10 minutes. Look how nice and puffy and frothy that yeast is. Perfect. Also, what I did is I took my 2 tablespoons of butter and went ahead and melted that in the microwave as well. About 20 seconds did the trick. All right, so what we wanna do now, we grab our bigger bowl here, and we're gonna go ahead and add in our yeast mixture. Nice. Add in our melted butter. Add in our remaining 1/4 cup of sugar. And then I have 1 egg here. Go ahead, add 1 egg. And then with our whisk, go ahead and mix that all together. Nice. And now we need to add our bread flour, or you could use all-purpose flour as well. Now I want to talk about the storage container by Palm Tree Chef. This is a really neat little container that you can use for dry ingredients. Like I have my bread flour in here. You can also use it for cereal, very popular to use for cereal. And some cool things about it is it comes with these little labels, and these are chalkboard stickers. And so what that means is I can erase this bread flour and write something else there if I want to. So it's reusable, really neat. This lid is really cool. You can take the lid off really easy and grab it, grab your flour. So we need just shy of 3 cups of flour, about 2 3/4 cup of flour, but I'm not gonna dump it all in. I'm just gonna add a little bit at a time until we get the dough consistency that we want, and I'll show you that. So just go ahead and add in 1 cup of flour there. And then I'm gonna add my 1 teaspoon of salt on top of that flour. And then come in here with the wooden spoon. Let's go ahead and just mix this up. And of course, if you have a stand mixer, go ahead and do this in your stand mixer. Okay, great. And now we want to add some more flour. Some other cool things to note about this container is it has a neat little handle, really easy to grip. And then also on this other side is it has these measurements. So you can use this as a measuring cup as well, or a measuring tool. It goes up to 4 liters, all the way to the top is 4 liters. Pretty cool, and it holds a lot of stuff. Another thing of note is the plastic is non-toxic FDA approved, and it's a BPA free plastic. And it looks really cool, and it saves a lot of space in the pantry. So I really like this thing. The lid goes on really easy. It has these 4 little flaps, and it has a freshness ring to get a nice tight seal. And you just put it on there like that, really neat. And then you have this cool little pouring lid as well. So just a really cool little storage unit. I love storage containers, so I'm really happy to have these. All right, so let's add a little bit more flour here. I need another cup that I'm gonna add. Go ahead and give this a stir here. The dough will start to come together with this much flour in there. It's still a bit too sticky to work with, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more of my flour. Okay, and I'll get a point where it's not as sticky and it pulls all the stuff away from the sides, and now we're ready to hand knead this and then add flour little by little. So let's go ahead and take this, add some more flour to our surface here, and we'll go ahead and take our dough and pour it out on our surface. Okay, and then how I knead is you just kind of grab the flour together, push down, fold, turn it a quarter turn, push down, fold, like that. There's more than one technique that you can do for kneading, but this is how I do it, how I was taught to do it. And then we want to knead the dough for about 8 minutes. And then what we'll do is, as the dough gets sticky again, we will add a little bit more flour. But depending on where you are, elevation and temperature, humidity, you might only wind up using about 2 1/2 cups or 2 1/4 cups of the flour. All right, then once our dough has been kneaded, go ahead and take a bowl. I just used the same one, I just cleaned it out, and then I sprayed it with some kitchen spray, or you can use some oil. And I'm just gonna go put it in there and just turn it around a little bit. And this is just gonna help it from drying out as it rises. And then I take a damp cloth and place it over it. And we're gonna go ahead and let this rise for an hour to hour and a half, just depends on how cold your house is, until it doubles in size. Also, these storage containers, they come in a set of 4. And if you wanna pick a set up, I'll put a link down below where you can get that. Also, Palm Tree Chef is offering 15% discount to all of my viewers. I'll put the code down below as well. And as a bonus, something really cool that they're doing is the first viewer of mine to purchase this will get a buy one, get one free. So you'll wind up with 8 little storage containers. Really cool, I highly recommend these. Really great for aesthetics and for organizing your pantry or whatnot. Really cool. All right, it's been about an hour. Let's go ahead and take a look. Wow, really nice. I always get excited when my dough rises. Nice and soft. We're gonna go ahead and just punch it down here. And then what we wanna do, let's take some more flour. Make sure our surface is nice and floured. And we'll take our dough. Nice soft dough, yeah. Okay, and then we wanna roll it out to about the shape of a rectangle. Okay, something like that. It doesn't have to be totally exact. And then I have about 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons of softened butter. Doesn't have to be exact. Go ahead and put this on, and you can just use a basting brush, and let's just go ahead and cover this with a coating of butter. And you can use salted or unsalted butter, up to you. And now let's take about a cup of sugar, 3/4 of a cup, add a tablespoon of cinnamon, and with a fork or a little whisk, just shake that up. And now let's get our cinnamon and sugar. Okay, and now we want to roll this lengthwise, nice, tight roll, okay? And now we want to cut this down the middle. So then we essentially have two nice strips of dough. Look how cool it looks, okay? And now what we need to do is we need to braid these together. And what I want to do is just transfer it over to my dish first. And this is just a sheet pan with a silicone mat, and you can put parchment paper or whatever you want. And then we want to kind of connect the ends together. And then we're going to just braid these. Pick the whole thing up. And do a nice tight braid. This part can get a tiny bit messy. It's okay. Awesome, see how that's coming together? Really, really neat. Cool, see it? I'll turn it this way. And then what we're gonna do, just kind of stretch it a little bit, connect it together, like that. And then what we wanna do is we wanna just let this rest and let the dough rise for a little bit longer. So I'm just gonna let it sit like this for, about 15, 20 minutes. All right, and then after we let the dough rest for about 20 minutes, I also covered it with plastic just to help keep it from drying out. And now what we want to do is we want to have our oven that's preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 190 Celsius. Let's go ahead and put this in there and bake it for 20 to 25 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. And when it comes out of the oven, it'll look something like this. Smells fantastic. Nice and golden brown on the top. It's gonna be soft on the inside, crispy on the outside. Amazing, a little bit of caramel on the bottom there. That's kind of why you wanna use a parchment paper or a silicone mat. Awesome, then we'll just let this cool for about 10-15 minutes before we can dig into it. All right, our cinnamon roll twist bread or braided bread is done. Turned out fantastic, really easy to do. This is a perfect bread for the holidays. Serve it for breakfast, brunch, or for dessert, whatever you want to do. Also, make sure to check down below for a link to the cereal and food storage container sets if you want. Another thing to note is they are dishwasher safe, microwave safe, and freezer safe. I'm Matt Taylor. This has been another episode of In the Kitchen with Matt. Thank you for joining me. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or requests, put them down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thumbs up, down the corner, push it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Take care. Time for me to dive into a little piece. All right, I got my knife. You can just tear it off with your hands or use a knife. I'm gonna come in here and just cut into it with my knife. Oh yeah. Mmm. Mmm. Wow.